These videos make me so nervous.
No. Why?
Hey, everyone, say your name and gain some things.
Just a little improv.
You never know when you're doing this.
A little man. I was like, what?
You don't. You never know.
I don't know.
This is what happens when it gets late.
Yeah, seriously. Let us go home, Dan.
What's happening? Let's see what's happening back. Oh no!
I haven't got my costume on yet. Are we close to rolling?
Sorry.
Get the character.
This close with you, Schneider.
Hey everyone, welcome back, or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. I make content about lots of different things, so hello, welcome to the chaos. This will be part 2 of my Dan Schneider Nickelodeon Creep Club series, so if you haven't seen part 1, I'll leave that up in the eye for you.
You don't scare me, but you should fear me. The sun is setting, don't trust your hearing.
In part 1, we talked about the people who have openly shared their experiences, but there are also some conspiracy theories that many people believe to be true about Dan Schneider, and some have pretty damning evidence to them. In 2018, before Schneider was officially fired from Nickelodeon, the politically right-wing podcast Revenge of the Cis had been working on exposing Schneider for quite some time. They did an interview with a young woman who went on to describe her experience auditioning for Nickelodeon in 2007. I will let her speak for herself here, but listen to the details she describes, not just about Schneider, but staff at the network itself.
I personally, at the time, I watched a ton of Nickelodeon, and I was very immersed in that lifestyle, so I wanted to pursue it. My mom had some reservations about it. She didn't really want me being exposed like that, especially because in the audition call listing, they did mention, like, you know, wear something cute, like wear spaghetti straps or a skirt or, you know, whatever. And my mom, when she told me later on that whenever she saw things like that, she thought that it was a little uncomfortable for people to be telling kids what to wear.
How old were you at the time?
So I was probably around 14 years old.
Okay, go ahead.
And I was actually considered older at the time for what they were looking for. So in 2007, my agent called about the Nickelodeon show. It was for Zoe 101, but because that show I think was getting canceled at the time, they were looking just for anything, and then Dan Schneider's next show was iCarly. So they were looking for, you know, extras or possibly like a lead type of role. So of course my agent jumped on that opportunity, and we flew out to LA for this audition. And when we got there, it was a bunch of kids, probably like 200 kids. And then these random agents hand-selected specific kids that they liked or, you know, showed some charisma. And then once about 40 kids were selected, we were then told to take off our shoes and that we were each going to go into a room to show the producer, who is Dan Schneider, the tapes to see who we would want on the show. And of course, you know, we always ask, like, oh, what do we have to do? Like, what would you like us to be doing once we're in there? And my agent told me, he's like, it's going to be like he's like, you got to just take off your shoes, just like run around in front of the camera, you know, talk about how much you love being barefoot. And at the time, even, you know, it was like, okay, that's weird, but I didn't think anything of it because I was still young.
Right.
And then when I saw other kids doing it, like their parents were like, take your shoes off, like we're going in, like this is it, this is your thing. You know, it was all the kids that were wearing like the short shorts, like the, you know, spaghetti strap tank tops, you know, things that were a little more open and less reserved. And then once we got into the last room before my audition happened, my mom kind of looked around and was like, this is wrong. There's just something really wrong about this. And
Now, the reason I bring up Nickelodeon as a whole is, in retrospect, kind of a mind-blowing one in the grand scheme of things. Dan Schneider has always been surrounded by rumors of a foot fetish, or at the very least, he thinks feet are a little too funny, as he calls it. Although, now that Alexa has straight up confirmed the fact that he'd pay children to take pictures of their feet, I guess this isn't really a rumor anymore.
So that wasn't even Polaroids, it was like a digital camera, and he would go around with money and ask to take photos of the kids' feet.
I'm sorry, yes, the kids' feet.
Yes.
The children's
Feet.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
their toes.
Okay.
So, not only does Nickelodeon not bat an eye to the countless foot jokes that are known to be in any given episode of a Schneider's Bakery show, but Nickelodeon actually changed their entire logo to a foot, a big orange foot with the brand's name written across the arch. You're gonna tell me that you had no idea of any misconduct when your logo was enabling this dude for 30 years? As said by Alexa Nicholas earlier, adults at Nickelodeon were constantly asking the children who worked for them to be professional, despite not acting that way themselves. So, in what professional environment, in what professional relationship, is it okay for a boss to ask his female employee to sit on his lap, looking like they're clearly under the influence of something or other? At 28 years old, I would be extremely uncomfortable if a male boss were to ask to take pictures like some of these. And at 13 years old, how is it okay for him to be having these children sitting on his lap taking pictures, with his hands on their backs or on their knees? And these are just the pictures that have somehow found their way into the public eye. Can you imagine how many possibly worse pictures he could have? Are you kidding me? He was their boss. They were employees. They are underage in these pictures, and this is not okay. Early in 2022, I made a video about Amanda Bynes' conservatorship before it was actually overturned and she got her rights back. I'll link that up in the eye if anyone wants to watch, but anyway, in that video I very briefly mentioned how in 2021 Amanda Bynes had announced that she was pregnant and how she was almost instantly not pregnant anymore, and the topic was just dropped suddenly. I know you might be thinking this has nothing to do with the video, but bear with me for a moment. Amanda Bynes worked with Dan Schneider from the time she was just 8 years old up until she was about 20. She started with All That in 1999 and eventually had her own self-titled sketch comedy show. Bynes had a very seemingly close relationship to Schneider all through her adolescence to the point where she saw him more than her own parents. In fact, according to this article from People magazine, she even supposedly wanted to live with Schneider and his wife for a time while filming The Amanda Show. Amanda spent so much time with Dan Schneider that she likely considered him a father figure. She had even said that her own father was abusive to her, which would make her inevitable meltdown, and these particular tweets make a lot of sense. Please remember that this is all alleged and simply a conspiracy, but some people have concluded that these tweets are not about Amanda's father, but about Schneider himself, since she was on a lot of drugs and likely very confused at this time. There's also another Twitter account called PersianLA27 that people speculate may be Amanda as well, after her main account was taken over by her parents. The theory here is that Amanda Bynes was implying she was impregnated by a certain producer and was forced to terminate at a very young age, resulting in some permanent damage and leading to possible issues having a full-term pregnancy in the future, which would explain the unfortunate end to her short pregnancy in 2021 and would make a lot of sense. There is a celebrity gossip rumor mill website called Crazy Days and Nights, which is run by a celebrity lawyer known online as NT. NT has been running the blog for well over a decade and has hinted at many rumors of misconduct from countless Hollywood producers, actors, and more, along with many other exposés. He was known to be in contact with Amanda Bynes during the time Dan Schneider was being exposed and fired. The night after Schneider was fired in 2018, NT posted this blind item on his blog. This is said to be the words of Amanda herself, and if you notice the strange capitalization in some of the words, they very clearly spell out, Dan did it. Another blind item said to be about Dan Schneider is this one from 2007. Speculation on this one concludes that Jamie Lynn Spears' untimely pregnancy was a result of abuse from the producer. People have gone as far as comparing Spears' child to Schneider in pictures and pointing out similarities. I can't deny that some of these do look very similar, but I also can't prove that in any way that this is true, so that's neither here or there. Then there are these blind items rumored to be about the happenings on the Victorious set. Now, I'm not bringing this up to make any fans of any of these people upset, and I'm definitely not blaming any of these actresses for their reactions to the trauma they might have been through. Everyone processes things differently. With that being said, I am inclined to believe this specific one is about Victoria Justice and Ariana Grande. Victoria worked with Schneider on Zoe 101, and then got her own show a few years later, and that show definitely had its fan favorite that was not Victoria. And Ariana Grande's career has blown up so much since then that it would make sense that her parents would have pressured her to do whatever she had to do to get where she is now. I'd also like to point out that if anyone did sleep with Schneider, regardless of the situation, it was not consensual, as they were minors and therefore could not consent, especially with an adult his age. However, I also think this could possibly be about Jamie Lynn Spears, since her parents are definitely the type to have their daughter do despicable things for fame, and Spears was on all that before she got her own show with Zoe 101. But I think it makes more sense for them to be about Victoria and Ariana with that being said. Either way, these blind items definitely paint a very clear picture of what the typical environment on set of a Schneider's Bakery show was like. Now I'd like to point out some very weird things I found on Schneider's YouTube account. I took these screenshots back a couple of years ago when I first started deep diving into this topic, but notice how a lot of these videos on his account had been privated at the time. There were complete playlists on Dan's YouTube channel full of behind-the-scenes videos he was taking, sometimes without the cast's consent. He seemed to frequently film the cast between takes, and even sometimes when they weren't even aware he was recording them. Some of these thumbnails seem like something one would find on some not-so-family-friendly websites as well. There are some that I was still able to find at the time of recording that I just find very creepy and unsettling. A lot of the time, the teenage girls in the videos seem very uncomfortable, and there's even a clip of Ariana Grande clearly saying that the videos make her nervous. In the full clip, Liz Gillies even tells Schneider that she better not be on the tube when she gets home, likely meaning that she did not want these videos published. Ariana even says that she never knows what Dan is doing, which is so weird.
What?
Now, Daniel, is this going on YouTube?
I would.
Better not be on the tube when I get home.
I would not put this on the tube.
This on the tube, I'm going to lose my mind.
You know what's going to happen if I put this on YouTube. What?
What happens if
You know.
I want to
Will.
get a personal thumbs up from me.
And you will get a thumbs up.
Check my makeup. I could look horrible right now.
Connecting the skis into what kids are calling snow.
These videos make me so nervous.
No.
Why?
Hey, you man, say your name and game something.
It's just a little improv.
Because you never know when you're doing it.
Little man, I was like, what?
You don't. You never know.
Oh, no.
Brandon. Brandon. You saw it here first.
In another behind-the-scenes clip of Victorious, the video starts out with Liz and Ariana on the ground, and Schneider filming them from behind. Ariana starts to say to cut that out because she knew he was likely filming from a revealing angle. The rest of the cast tries to distract Schneider, but he persists in trying to film her.
And the camera was.
That was amazing. That was one of the better things I've ever heard.
Hey.
Hi, what's going on here?
You cut out that part.
Why are you sitting on the floor of the set?
Because we are.
They are. Did you just bark?
No. No,
Oh,
I
must-
did not.
It must be
Remember when
the
you
set
sat
ghost.
down?
Who barked?
The set of Ghost Christmas Past.
That was really scary. Did you hear that? Yeah.
It's the Christmas ghost. It's the ghost of Christmas Past.
There are also these weird ones with Jerry Trainer on the iCarly set. Why would you go with the camera to film this grown man trying to privately and probably quickly do a clothes change for a scene? Jerry also just seems to not like Dan very much, which is very valid.
What's going on back here by the robot? Hold on, let's see what's happening. Let's see what's happening back here. Oh, no!
I haven't got my costume on yet. Are we close to rolling?
Sorry, caught Jerry in a bad moment there. Hello, this is Dan Schneider, a.k.a. Dan Warp on Twitter. I'm here at Nickelodeon, where no open-toed shoes or sandals are allowed on stage. We're about to rehearse iCarly right now. But before we start our rehearsal, do you think that I would be able to attack every main cast member of iCarly and knock them to the ground? Do you dare me? Do you dare me?
These behind-the-scenes videos go as far back as The Amanda Show. I'll be cutting out the really disgusting part of this, but you'll most likely get the gist of it just seeing this here. Amanda is probably 12 or so in this footage. Who knows what else Dan has in his stash of softcore child pornography. This is just what I've seen floating around on the internet over the years. In June 2022, Taisha Hampton, Kel Mitchell's ex-wife, was on the Day and Night Network podcast, and she gave some very vivid details about what she witnessed on the Nickelodeon set in the 90s. Taisha met Kel during the filming of Good Burger and would accompany him on set while he filmed All That and Kenan and Kel, some of Dan Schneider's very first shows. She talked about how she witnessed teenage actresses doing sexual favors for producers, and how one of them even cleaned Schneider's car while wearing a bikini.
Alright, so let me ask you a question. So, have you ever heard about all the crazy, sick shit that went on at Nickelodeon? You know, like with the pedophilia and all that shit.
Have I heard about it? Yeah, I know about it.
Have you seen anything? Like, have any of them been involved in any of that? Because let's hear about some of that.
So, the reason why the TV shows and Nickelodeon shows were filmed in Florida were because Florida had no child labor laws. I mean, how people didn't know this, I don't know. Like, who would send their kids to a state with no child labor laws and their child is working? Like, who does this? And these parents, like Kel's parents, were not with him. All these parents of the kids on the show, their parents were not with them. In
I heard they sell their kids to these people.
Well, I don't know if they sell them, but like Kel told me that, like, because we would get into clubs and we were young, like 16, 17 years old, and we'd be in clubs. And the people on the set in Florida made us fake IDs. And so then I started thinking, I was like, wait, what? And then they were talking about orgies, and they were talking about, like, people on the set would show, like, pornos, and they'd give us alcohol.
Those were kids, like young kids on that set.
Yeah, these are grown-ass 30-year-old men and women.
Showing this to the kids.
16, 17, 15, 14-year-old kids.
Yeah, because, the show All That, they were all kids at that time, like young kids.
Yeah. Oh man, the girls on All That, I've seen them. One girl in particular, and I'm not gonna name who she is, but anyway, she was on the cast of All That.
Amanda Bynes?
Nope. Not Amanda Bynes. Amanda Bynes was really young. She was like 9 years old, but her dad was present. No, but another one of the cast members was like cleaning Dan Schneider's car with a bikini on. And now this time she had been 15, 16 years old. There were other times they would have like parties where the parents wouldn't be there and they'd give us alcohol. And another one of the people on the cast was giving blowjobs to the producers.
Wow, one of the kids.
And they were kids.
These were kids. Hell yeah.
Wow.
These were all kids, okay? And so, not only that, but a couple of the producers, they I don't know if you guys have heard about with the Pizzagate, where they always talk about like cheese.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys remember on those shows, like they'd always talk about cheese and feet.
Yeah, you're right.
Cheese
they had a lot of that on there.
Yeah.
Cheese is little girls, and they'd be doing so much with cheese, and I'd be like, what the hell is this cheese about? I couldn't even understand it. Cheese and feet. Like, he had a foot fetish and a little girl fetish. So even when I was pregnant, they would say stuff like, can I just put your tits in my mouth? Can I just hold them there? I mean, it was just, I had to stay inside of Kel's dressing room for most of the time because I was being sexually harassed.
So they were turning them kids out.
Definitely. Yeah. And other people too, other celebrities.
Wow.
Yeah, because you be hearing about them passing.
It's true.
Them around, passing them around.
It's true. Once, like, you know, I don't know what Kel had to do in order to, you know, be on Nickelodeon. I don't know what he had to do. I can only assume it was the absolute terrible things that he had to do, because who in the hell else would be giving you IDs and playing pornos and getting you drunk? Like, why would adults do that? What would be the purpose in that?
You know, he did mention how he got hooked on the drugs because Hollywood glorifies the drug usage and the sex and all that stuff, especially with the kids.
Yeah.
And them drugs was given
is
to
like
those
that.
kids. Those drugs was given to those kids by the execs and the producers.
Yeah, that should be on the set.
Yeah, well,
Wow.
I don't know if you heard about, a lot of child actresses and actors way back in the day were all given cocaine. So when even I was younger and I would do like Skittles commercials and all these different commercials and TV shows and stuff, and I was young, maybe 19 years old, Pepsi, soda, candy, they want you just hyped up like, yeah, like constantly. And so they would actually give kids all this stuff laced with cocaine and amphetamine.
Wow.
Earlier, we talked about the Revenge of the Cis podcast and how they were reporting on the Schneider business before a lot of people. About a year or two before Dan was fired from Nick, the podcast had another anonymous person come on and talk about what he knew of the situation. He claimed he'd been in the business for about 10 years and that Schneider's name would frequently come up in conversations, claiming that he would have pool parties with underage children, telling their parents that there was no need for them to come supervise.
For almost 10 years, and Schneider came up quite a few times with some of the people that I worked with, and this guy is just an absolute scumbag. It goes far beyond feet. He would have pool parties and invite all the kids over, and be like, "Oh, we'll just take care of the kids. No adults need to come over." Whoa. So he was having pool parties with these kids that were on the shows without any kind of adult supervision going on.
Wow, that's fucking weird, dude. Now we're cooking with gas. This is getting fucking weirder with this guy.
Also, a friend, one of my friends that used to work on a couple of the shows they did. I mean, this goes back to the early '90s. This is back from like the all I believe the show was called like All That and Keenan and Kel and all that. It was shows from way back then.
Yeah, that was fucking shows we watched. Yeah, when we were children.
Yeah. And he would spend extremely large amounts of time along with the kids in their dressing rooms, and without any adult supervision in there either. He would get mad if you went and if the talent wrangler, the person who would usually handle all the talent, make sure they were on set when they needed to be. If they were going and whichever actor or actress needed to be on set, if they went to go get him and he was in the middle of talking to him, he would just berate the poor PA that was just trying to do their job.
Josh Peck from Drake and Josh confirmed these types of parties did go on. In a video from 2019 he made with Drake Bell, Josh talks about his first kiss with Evan Rachel Wood at what he called an acting class pool party.
Wait, yeah, because you know my first like kiss was
like
with?
Not on TV?
Yeah.
When? Who?
Evan Rachel Wood, the actress.
Shut the fuck up, you're a liar.
She had mercy on me. Because when I spun that bottle and it landed on her, I don't know whether I spun the bottle or she spun the bottle, but we were connected. And I was like, this is where she goes, oh my God, my mom had a stroke. I have to go. Or like, ow, my thyroid hurts. I need to go. Like, she was like, come here, Josh.
No way.
And I was like,
were you working on a project?
No, we were acting class.
No way.
It was an acting class kids party.
Oh my God, they were the best.
And she kissed me. She kissed me for real. She kissed me good and well. And I really appreciate. Thank you, Evan, for doing that.
Babe.
She's so pretty and so talented and so nice, generous, really.
I don't have any stars like that on my list.
Well, what can I say? I'm incredible.
Another well-known producer, Bryan Singer, known for the X-Men movies, was caught hosting these types of parties at the M&C estate, with young teenage boys as well, and some of them even came out with allegations against him and many other predators that would come to the parties. Cesar Sanchez Guzman filed a lawsuit against Bryan Singer in 2017 for an incident in 2003 that occurred after being invited to one of these parties. Someone who worked closely with and was likely a close personal friend of Dan Schneider's is a man named Brian Peck. Brian Peck is an actor and vocal coach who has been in the industry for decades and has many big-named friends such as Charlie Sheen. Brian Peck worked with Schneider on some of his early shows such as All That and The Amanda Show. That is, until he was caught and arrested for lewd acts with a minor on set. The boy in question came forward anonymously to protect his career, but he filed a claim against Brian Peck, and Peck was convicted for a few crimes, including oral copulation of a minor and other charges. He was caught in 2001, making it likely that it happened on The Amanda Show, and a lot of people speculate that the victim was Drake Bell, as he would get his own show soon after. The charges were set in 2004, and in 2006, just 2 years later, Peck was credited as a small voice role on The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, a Disney Channel show. This would mean Disney hired a convicted child molester to work on set with children yet again.
There are people who don't want this out. The studios work to make sure this isn't very public. Brian Peck moved to Nickelodeon and coached on almost all their shows, really. It was one of those shows where he befriended a pretty major child actor. That child was abused by Brian Peck. He came forward and filed criminal charges against Brian Peck. And Brian Peck almost immediately pled guilty. Clearly he didn't want an investigation to continue, or clearly the studio didn't want an investigation to continue. The victim has chosen to remain anonymous all along in order to continue to work. It's unheard of that a child would be able to step forward at the time of their abuse when they're still a minor and continue to work afterward. I can't think of a single example where that's happened. So a kid that wants to speak out and say what happened to them beyond their family would truly have to give up their career. It's very sad that that's the case, but it's a reality. That's the worst part of it all, is that he's still working on kids' shows and he's still here and he's been convicted. It's not somebody that we have rumors about or that we've had complaints about. There's actual convictions and he's still here. I feel confident in saying all of the convicted predators that I have been familiar with had many more victims than the one that was convicting. We're absolutely talking about the tip of an iceberg. I'm not sure that we'll ever see the whole iceberg because I think there's so many factors pushing that iceberg down into the water.
There is so much to this whole thing that we haven't even begun to cover, but I just find it very sketchy that this man worked for this children's network for so many years and no one did a thing about it. Some people compare Schneider to Harvey Weinstein himself, and frankly, I don't think that's wrong to say. Jeanette McCurdy, Alexa Nicholas, Amanda Bynes, and any other person who was affected by this man deserve justice. They deserve an apology from Nickelodeon, and Dan Schneider deserves a punishment for the suffering he has caused so many. But he seems to be getting off scot-free, as he is said to have projects in the works. This man has no business making content for children, or being around any children at all, and if it's true that he's working on a new children's television show, we cannot let this stand. And the thing is, Schneider isn't even the half of it.
Leo, as you know, is the latest, hottest, hunkiest teen idol there is.
Yeah, muscles.
Look, speaking of hunky, huh?
Leo, what's it like to be a teen idol?
Ask her Cameron. I don't. Well, I see my pictures there, and it's fun seeing those, and I haven't really got the full impact of it yet, so.
I don't know about that teen thing. I mean, I think it's good. I think it's good for publicity, but they don't, it's almost like they're not actors, you know what I mean? And it's like they portray them as like sort of a piece of meat. Like, you know, here's the new cute thing, take a look at him and go, ooh, ah. So I didn't dig that, no. I wanted to.
If you liked this video, please give it a like and maybe say something in the comments. If you want to see more videos like this, please make sure to subscribe or follow me on Twitter if you want. Links are always in the description for sources I used in this video. Really quickly, I'd like to say thank you guys so much for 1,000 subscribers. I honestly can't believe I'm at this point in my YouTube journey, and it's all thanks to you. I appreciate y'all sticking around if you did, and if you haven't subscribed yet, the button's right there, bro. Thanks for watching.